Welcome to the Draft Professor channel, home of Epic Mock 26, April 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Draft Professor. This is Epic Mock Eve. It's almost like Christmas Eve, except it's a little bit better. I am joined today by Newt and Owen. We're going to be going through their first round grades. Newt, it's great to see you. How are you tonight?
I am doing well, enjoying the kind of lead up to the draft. I think it's 2 weeks away tomorrow, and you said, Epic Mock starts tomorrow. I'm not a part of that because I don't have the time I can commit to it, but I'm excited to tune in every chance I get.
And Owen, it's like I saw you like 15 minutes ago. How are you?
Yeah, we really downgraded it with the third person on this podcast, Jim. We went from former multi-year NFL starter Jerry Ostrowski to some dude in his Packers basement.
Yeah.
The beard is looking nice, though. Is you growing it out a bit more now?
I haven't, I've trimmed it a little bit, but, it's been going since pretty much June of last year.
I'm really getting
around
the Duck Dynasty on.
Around Packer Draft Twitter, I'm starting to be known as the guy with the beard. So that's just all they'll refer, that Cheesehead TV guy with the beard. Yeah, that's Newt.
That's the IP now. That's the notable thing about you.
Well, I was on Derailed with JJ and Jake, and they're like, Jake goes, "You need to change your handle to NFL Draft Gandalf." And
that's good.
It was pretty funny that we're messing around with some AI image generation that was a tad bit ridiculous. I got to put that picture up actually. So, good stuff though.
Well,
yeah,
it's interesting, right?
The guy with the, you guys said you got to be known as the guy with the beard because you can't be known as the guy with good takes.
Wow, Owen is coming out firing.
I'm ready to fight this episode.
So, Jake, I think, podcast with Draft Professors. I think one of the first times was Epic Mock last year.
Okay.
And then he podcasted with Owen at the very beginning of college football season. And he has been at Draft Professor at least once a week since. And there was even a portion of time where he was pulling double duty, where he was doing Saturdays and Sundays. So I love having Jake around. He's not on tonight, but just shout out. I was retweeting all the Packers stuff that you two were doing the last couple days.
Appreciate it.
So we did a little bit of, let's say, prep backstage. Newt has 19 first-round grades. Owen is 27. We're starting at the top of the board. Owen, who's your highest graded player?
My number one overall player, and it's only because he's factored in here as an edge. Who's a linebacker, it would be different, but it's going to be Arvell Reese from Ohio State. Gets the bump there.
I have Arvell Reese as my number 2 overall player, but he does have a blue chip grade for me. I will say I have him with number 2 as a linebacker, so I like him that much. Do you do blue chip grades?
Yeah, but so the multiplier is what's going to have the order right now, and what's going to give me my definitive first round grades. I go off blue chip grades based off just the film grades. So I have, let's see. In this class, to be honest with you, I have 6.
Okay. I'll say I have only 2, and Reese would be obviously then the second of that. Do you want to just talk? I mean, we talked about him a little bit when we did the Edge episode. Him and Moore and Barham, and I was, talking to the Draft Professor group chat about them today and looking for those hybrid edge guys. But when you look at him at the next level, do you see him more as an edge, or do you see him more as I compare him the inverse of what Abdul Carter was last year, where Abdul Carter was an edge. Last year he was an edge that you could move around and kind of put at off ball and have him be super effective. And I think Arvell Reese is an off ball that you can move around and put him an edge and have him be effective. I think they kind of have an inverse relationship, but both are that kind of hybrid player.
Yeah, I think what you were asking about earlier in our group chat, which I know we're really appealing to everyone who was in that group chat, all the listeners we're gonna have. But like when talking about those Joker players specifically, like a guy who you want as more of an in space on run downs and then can really unleash on pass rushing downs, that's where I'd be more comfortable. I think allowing him to be more of an athlete in run defense and not have to be as in tight hand to hand all the time, doing hand to hand combat every rep. Is better for him. So I would say a linebacker first and edge, but I just wanted to give him the biggest bump possible on my board, so I have him graded out as an edge right now.
That makes sense. And when I put him in my final Packer rankings, like I have him as a linebacker, but I call him an 3-4 outside linebacker for the sake of that. Just kind of like trying to find, what he's going to be a versatile player, but definitely a guy that I think is a ton of fun. God, I really, really enjoy watching this tape. But I got him as number 2. I've got my number 1 overall player is Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State, same school. So I have a safety and a linebacker as my 2 blue chip players in this year's draft class. Who'd have ever thunk that would have been the case?
Yeah, I have. So because I qualify my blue chippers as being like their film grades blue chip, but not with the positional multiplier. Weirdly enough, I have a blue chip player all the way down to 10th overall on my board, even though there's other guys who are non-blue chippers ahead of him. So that's where. So that's kind of a spoiler for who my 10th is. But you had said Reese was your number 2. I have Ruben Bain as my number 2 overall player.
Okay. No, I'll say he comes in at 4 for me. What do you like about Bain?
He just has all the length in the world. I love it about that. I love it about him. But no, he's a guy that, to be honest with you, if you didn't tell me he had short arms, I wouldn't really believe you. Like, he does play a little stocky at times, but I would never have thought it would have been like this outlier of outliers type guy. He's just so well built and explosive, and when you have someone that dense and that explosive out of their stance who can get into guys, and it's not just powering through guys' chests. Like when they leave him with a gap to shoot, like there has been a ton of plays, especially against like Indiana in that championship game, where they were trying to run outside zone or jet sweeps and like touches that are supposed to hit outside of him, get him sucked up inside, and then hit outside with the broken contain. He was just so quick and so fast into the backfield that he was just attacking the guy himself before he can do that. And that's also doing it through 2 guys at the same time. So I understand he's outlier, but like the pass rush and the run defense never struggled against high-end competition. I will bet on the film more than I'll bet on the traits right now.
Did you? So because I was writing him up for the Cheesehead TV draft guide. And I couldn't believe this when I had written it down. He had 83 pressures last year, and that's like per PFF. David Bailey had 81, and like we all know the explosiveness of Bailey, and we'll obviously be talking about him at some point. But taking a look at Ruben Bain, part of it is him and Mesidor never came off the field. Like they played an obnoxiously high number of snaps, which I think is also a testament to them. But like you said, what he's able to do and the way that he is able to not even overcome, but just like eliminate those shortcomings that he has, pun fully intended, with that like he is that incredibly dominant. And I think there was probably a little bit of a lack of consensus going into the season on who like edge 1 was. And I think that while Bailey is making a really good case and maybe not making Ruben Bain a consensus edge 1, the guys that, before Bain was kind of like grappling with, he has really set himself apart with his play this season. I was going to, well, actually here, before that. So my number 3 is Fernando Mendoza, comes in, and that's a little bit part of the multiplier that we have with that. He is right outside of my blue chip range. I think I'm higher on Mendoza than a lot of other people. I've seen, and Jim, I don't know if you want to kind of talk to this because you've heard a lot of people talk about quarterback, but I've seen a lot of people say that if he was in last year's draft class, him and Ward would be graded in a very similar range, that they see them as a similar value prospect. And I don't. Like I see Fernando Mendoza as a pro-ready quarterback, a guy that is able to play within structure, someone that's got the arm to be able to make NFL throws. He is able to, stand and take a hit. He's tough as nails. He doesn't have the athleticism that you saw from Ward, but I also think that was a little bit of a detractor of Ward's game. when you see like these crazy extended plays, that's a college attribute. Like that's something that it is fun to see there. I just don't see it, translating as much where I see so many pieces of Mendoza's game translating over. So like, Jim, I don't know if you want to comment on that real quick.
Yeah. So first we should rewind just briefly and say first round grade at every position except quarterback is probably an immediate starter. And if it's a blue chip grade, that would mean that they could start in any scheme.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a fair definition, Newt?
I would say it's a fair definition. I even probably leak that a little bit beyond that. Like Ruben Bain is not a blue chipper for me, but I'd have a tough time not seeing him. But yes, I think that's a really good definition.
Right, but
that definition agrees with that definition agrees exactly with how I see my blue chip players right now. Like that, like they are transcendent. That's what puts them over the top for me. Is like, do I have any questions about their fit? No.
Right. So then with quarterbacks, we might curve that a little bit because they may or may not be an immediate starter. But if a quarterback projects to be an NFL starter within the next 24 games, he's going to be drafted in round 1.
Yeah.
Right. So, and what I mean by that is if you think of your team's next 24 games, if they're going to need a new starting quarterback, either this season or next season, that's 24 games. They'll be starting, basically by week 1 of 2027 type deal. So Mendoza clearly fits into that. Right. Mendoza's going to be starting for the Raiders soon.
Oh, yeah.
Whether
I hope not too
right?
soon. Honest to God, I love the kid. I hope not too soon, though, especially with Kirk there now.
So, but anyway, like comparing Mendoza to prior quarterback classes, there are some people that have Ward higher. There are some people that have Mendoza higher, but they are graded similarly for a vast majority of the podcasters. And if you go back even the draft before, most people are saying that Mendoza would be graded higher than Nix and higher than Penix.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
He would be.
But not necessarily Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels. And then there was one other quarterback that went in that draft whose name is
9. 9, you're forgetting. JJ.
Oh, yeah. And he probably would have been graded higher than JJ McCarthy as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's in the bucket with where I had McCarthy and Daniels, but not higher than the first two guys.
Look at this. You're recruiting 49ers people over to your cheesehead stuff.
They just like laughing at you guys in the conference finals, so it's all right.
So,
that's
no,
like
but
a Chiefs fan.
I mean, dude, I think that's a good question about Mendoza. And then as we get into the rest of the players, I'm curious if we're going to be mentioning another quarterback with your first round grades. But Owen, I'm curious, where did Mendoza fall on your board?
So he fell at 7th overall for me on my board. And I think I'm one of those that have him and Cam Ward graded the exact same, but two very different players. Like I have the Mendoza is a lot more, like Newt said. He described it perfectly. In structure, has good, not great arm, enough to make some of the NFL or most of the NFL throws. Doesn't have anything elite there, but is a lot more in structure type of player. Whereas Cam Ward was a lot more out of structure with higher end traits. Can
I pause the conversation really quick on like the arm talent bit? Because I think this is where I start to get a little frustrated with like when we talk about like Fernando Mendoza does not have Joe Milton's arm. Like no one's arguing that. When do you need Joe Milton's arm? Like
never. You need Cam Wormsard.
No,
but like the thing is, I've seen Mendoza in the structure of the game, like against Ohio State when they're backed up to their own end zone, drop a 40-yard dime downfield right in the breadbasket. Like that's the throw I need. That's the longest throw I need out of you unless it's a Hail Mary.
And I think I've heard Owen say this before, but Owen, in your grading scale, you said like arm strength is more of a floor. And you actually take a point away from arm strength and move it to a different attribute for quarterbacks because once they hit the floor, you don't gain a lot if their arm is stronger, right?
Correct, yeah. So all my grades are out of 10, and I take the one that I think is the least, paramount to success, least paramount to, like, upside, and I take a point away from that and throw it to one that I think it is for upside. So I took one off of arm strength because, like you said, once you get to a 9 out of 10, do you really? What's the difference between 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10? I think Mendoza has like his 8.5 out of 9 kind of arm, whereas Ward I gave a 9 out of 9. And I put that other point though into out of structure ability because yes, it is more of the college game that Ward was like, he was doing a lot more. But what's the difference between him doing that because he is playing against lesser competition in college and him having to do that because the Titans suck around him and he needs to make all these different plays? I'd rather have a guy who can make plays when nothing else is around him supporting him versus, but then have him learn as I build up that team around him versus he needs to have guys around him and succeed first around him to then also succeed. And if it all comes around him, like how you said with Mendoza and the Raiders, don't want him starting too early because I don't know what the hell we got around him right now, and he's not a player that's going to succeed when chaos is the name of the team right now.
That makes sense.
Which is why, he's like at 7, same grade as Ward. But like I said, very different reasons. More in structure versus Ward's out of structure.
All right, so you've got Arvell Reese 1, Ruben Bain 2?
Yep.
And then who's 3?
Spencer Fano at 3.
Spencer Fano at 3. Okay.
Big Spencer Fano guy.
I
don't really see it with the length.
This is where the divide. This is where the divide happens.
Is this Fano at tackle or Fano at center?
Tackle, which is why he's so high
I'm
up.
team tackle as well. Like
Yeah.
I'm not as high on
awesome.
Fano, but he's all, yeah, exactly. He's a phenomenal tackle. Like I've got no concerns. The athletic ability of him, his ability to move in space. He's a dog out there.
He's got some nasty to him.
Like, I want him setting every edge for an outside run possible because I think it is such a tone setter there. So okay, that's probably the biggest deviation thus far.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Owen Fano going 3rd overall to the Cardinals. You're all over that.
Oh yeah, they need a right tackle. They need a center. Dude, that's a layup for what they need. Like I think that's more of a layup than Maui Noah is.
No, and that's what I mean. Like, and I don't know that we're hearing a lot of that. So,
when me and Newt did our dueling mock drafts, I had Fano at 3 to the Cardinals.
I was pretty sure that you did, and I people may have not seen that show, or maybe even I didn't remember. But
I had Peter Woods to the Cardinals, and I was blasted all over social media for that one.
Oh yeah, I saw that feedback. I saw at least some of it come through my feed.
I stand by what I did.
It's not a bad pick, not at all.
There is no such thing as bad engagement on Twitter.
Oh, it's true.
Right? Like, it does.
So, did we say year 4 was? No, we didn't.
4 was Maui Noah. 4 was Maui Noah.
So okay, so
three,
you
4
go
is Maui
Fano
Noah.
and then Maui Noah because we said all right, we said 7 for you. All
There's,
right,
Mendoza.
Yep, that's right. So my 4 I said is Bane, and then let's hit into my
3.
number 5, and then we'll go like in groups of 5 after that. So
Yeah.
my number 5 player is the player that you are not quite there with yet, but after he has a breakout rookie season like his former teammate, you're going to be all over him. And that is Carnell Tate out of the Ohio State University. Wide receiver 1, first-round grade. You got to love him. Right, Owen?
Break out half a rookie season, you mean? And then fall off the face of the planet?
Well,
Yeah, it's because Baker Mayfield started sucking. I'm going to put it on the quarterback play.
So you have Carnell Tate, you said at 5
Yes.
on your board. So where do you have Tate graded relative to McMillan last year or Romo Dunze the year before?
So last year would be Odunze. I had a completely different grading scale, so I'd have a tough time saying. I would say that Odunze would probably be ahead of Tate. That was such a stacked draft class.
Right.
But I think with McMillan, it would be very close. I did change my scale again, but I have a better idea now.
Right.
I think they'd be very similar.
But you see, and this is where like for anybody watching, where we're talking about, okay, how good or, how strong or not strong is the draft class? McMillan went 8th overall, 9th overall.
Ninth?
Right.
something like that.
Ninth, I think, to Carolina.
Eighth. There you go.
Whereas I don't think Tate gets to 9, even though they're graded really similar, just because this draft is missing some of that talent at
Do you hear
the
that,
top
Owen?
end.
Do you hear that, Owen?
Yeah.
Is our bet with Cooper Jr. and Tate?
Cooper Jr. and Tate. Yeah, you can go check on the Weekly Huddle YouTube channel. You have the video already uploaded on there.
Yep.
Love it.
So, Owen, where's Tate for you on your board?
85th.
Jim, set a line and Newt, you pick over under.
I'm gonna go 14.
Over. It's like over. Like he is well past beyond 14.
He's 21st.
Okay.
So he's 21st on my board.
Also, you have a first round grade on him.
Yes, I do. This was the same thing with Ibuka last year. I liked it. He was like the highest, the highest
Did
second
you
round
have
grade
a
I could
first
give
round
him.
grade on Ibuka?
No, but he was a high
Oh.
second round grade, and then it was like, oh, but I hate him because he wasn't wide receiver 2.
Yep.
I like Matthew Golden.
Who's your number 5? And then we can go in groups of 5.
So clearly you're in the hater club for this player because my number 5 is Peter Woods. My former number 1 overall player. Had one bad season, had to knock him down a whole 4 spots.
You still have Peter Woods higher than me. I'm so angry
Of course
about
I do.
that. Dude, I've been
I only
getting
had him.
freaking flame broiled all over Twitter for having him like in my top 10. And you've got him
I
higher
love
than
Peter
me.
Woods. I did.
I love Peter
Yeah, I
Woods
saw
too.
that post and I commented. I was like, oh, you must be a hater. He's only at 6.
Why? Yeah, I remember seeing that now. Oh, Peter Woods is awesome. Yeah, if you're listening, you hate Peter Woods. I'm
You're
sorry
wrong.
because you got 2 guys that love him.
You're just wrong.
Iowa Joe hates Peter Woods.
Oh my god, the 2024 tape is some of the best defensive line tape I've ever watched ever. It's so awesome. I love it. I remember I was at a bar, half hammered, texting Newt clips of Peter Woods because I was like, dude, this guy's awesome. He's like,
that.
are you watching film at a bar right now? I was like, it's that awesome, man.
Because I was texting this man earlier, and I was like, "Hey, can you send me film on these guys?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to go out with my wife." And then I wake up to a couple texts of "Oh, this guy is awesome." I'm like, you said you were going out for drinks, man. It's 1 a.m. What are we doing here?
Watching Peter Woods film, man, at the pool bar.
And I think one of the things that we're going to learn about NFL scouting, and I think anybody on Clemson is probably going to fall into this, but I think Peter Woods is a great example. And we learned this with Deion Walker last year, right?
Yep.
So for Buffalo last year, Deion Walker's 2024 mattered a lot. He was drafted based upon what he did the prior year. And I think we're going to learn that. The NFL teams were really high on Peter Woods in the summer. I mean, I don't know of a single person that came on this channel that had Peter Woods outside their top 10 in the summer. Right?
Yeah, he was awesome. He's a freaking idiot.
And that wasn't a projection. Right? That was he really did good things on tape. He just didn't have a good year that followed.
No one at Clemson did.
Yeah.
Right. But so the point being is that I think a lot of the media, when they're analyzing, are looking at current year tape and they're trying to say, well, where's all the hype? But anybody that was looking at him over the summer knows that the prior year was really good. Really good, right? And how often do you get a defensive lineman that you can put all along the line, right? He has position versatility, which I know, Owen, on your grading scale, when you can move somebody around, I know that that's probably one of the reasons that you like him this high, right?
Oh, I love him. Love him for that. Specifically, I think one of the clips I sent Newt that night I was at the bar was he was playing wide 9 edge and still bent the corner and got a sack. It was insane.
I want to point out I did hate when Clemson put him as an edge rusher for the first half of the 2024 season. I don't think it was quite fair to him, but the highlights were super fun to watch.
Yeah, they were awesome.
For the highlights, it was a ton of fun to see him out there.
Right.
Newt, where was Woods for you?
So here, because he's in my next 5, so I'll hit
next
my,
five.
Go for it.
my next
Yeah,
5.
so 6 through 10 for Newt.
Yep, so 6 through 10 is Jermod McCoy at 6, who has been there. I love Jeremiah McCoy, and I'm so glad they came out and tested extremely well at Tennessee's Pro Day. Peter Woods at 7, Jeremiah Love at 8. Tackle 1 for me, Monroe Freeling at 9, and then Sonny Styles, linebacker 2 at number 10.
So, Owen, who are your 6 through 10?
Yeah, so 6 through 10. The right position, wrong player. Mansour Delane is my number 6th overall player. 7, we said Fernando Mendoza. 8, wide receiver 1 in Jordan Tyson. 9, Jeremiah Love, running back, which I just got into a Twitter war with Randall in the 15 minutes I had between shows.
So you think Jeremiah Love is undraftable?
So Randall just posted on Twitter saying, like, comparing him to Christian McCaffrey is
I saw the
Christian
CMC.
McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And I was like, is it? And he's like, yes. And I was like, I did the, really? You really think?
I don't know about that, Randall.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Randall. And then 10 is Caleb Downs, just because the safety multiplier kind of wrecks his grade to the point where he goes from, like, 2nd overall to 10th, because I just hate safeties, apparently.
Apparently.
Safeties are just such a weird player. They don't, I think when you look at defensive
I thought you were going to say they don't do anything. Like, I thought those were going to be the words.
No, they don't impact winning as much as other positions.
Well, yeah, their WAR is way down compared to others. I mean, that's
exactly.
like where the dollars and cents in the NFL comes from.
Yeah,
which
like you're drafting a guy to make plays like 15 times a game because he's 20 yards off the ball, especially in these 2 deep safety type, like the revolution that's happened with that. You don't need a stud back there if you have 2 guys back there. If you were going to run single high, then yeah, it makes sense. But like if you were having 2 guys operate that same amount of space, it's not as taxing. You don't need as high of a level of a player there, unless he's like an elite Hall of Fame level player. I don't think he goes top 5.
Well, and in addition to that, if a safety goes high, he's probably going to be better against the pass. Right? So if it's like Sam Teets did a mock in his Substack, and he had Downs going 18th overall to Minnesota. And he was the first safety off the board in that mock. And as we were talking about the mock on the podcast, it's if you are an asset in the passing game as a safety, you're probably going to go higher than where Downs went at 18. And that doesn't mean that Downs is bad against the pass, but Downs is going to be more likely to be a box player at the NFL level, right?
So I think he will be a box player, but I think one of the best things about Downs is, like, you look at his snap count this year, it was pretty much like I don't know, a third in the box, a third at free safety, a third in the slot. Like, he did everything. And I think there's, and this is me just being, more of a passionate fan for the game. I think there's such an intangible aspect you get from him as a leader, as a guy that, like, winning is in his blood. And I really like him as a locker room guy. I like him coming in as a culture setter. So I think there's a lot of pieces. And to Kenny's point, like, I totally get it. I know that there's a lot of analytics that go into the value and the percentage of a cap that you have towards safety. But God, I really do. I love Caleb Downs. But how you want to do this? Do you want to talk about, since we've got the same position at number 6 but different players? Do you want to talk about Delane? I'll talk about McCoy.
Yeah, I mean, Mansour Delane was a player that I really liked coming into the year, and then he just exploded at LSU this year, like, where he became a player that I unlocked a level of man coverage, bump and run, physicality, and athleticism that I didn't really see. I thought he was going to be more of like a zone corner, especially in the cover 3 stuff, where he's going to get more of a cushion to be able to react, but his ability to come up and play more press and then be physical and be aggressive like that without losing a step there was what I was like. There are players that come into this season and I'm like, I'm high on them, and then I'm like, I'm looking for them to take that other step in their film to then solidify that I can be that high on them. And if not, they just kind of stay put with where I had him graded in the summer. If not, or they can be Mansour Delane, who goes from like a high 3rd round grade to top 10 on my board, because he's just answers every questions I have. I have 0 questions about this player when it comes to him coming in being a starting corner for an NFL defense. So that's probably the best opinion you can have in a guy, is that you have me ask 0 questions of your game whatsoever.
No, I like that. I mean, Delane is I think unquestionably the best man cover corner in this year's draft class. It was absolutely incredible, and to the point that you have, like, he will come up in the next grouping that we have, because I do like Delane. He's first round talent through and through. I think just with Jermod McCoy, obviously the injury, the time away from football is going to be, maybe aside from like a film grade, something that NFL teams are, maybe a little bit hesitant on. But when I take a look at him, I think you see the athleticism, you see the IQ, you see the quick trigger, the ability to play effectively in both zone and man cover schemes, ball skills, 4 picks and 6 pass breakups in 2024, forcing completion percentage of almost 20%. He's a guy that, like, he understands how to play the game. He's doing it in the SEC. He plays a very aggressive brand of football for someone that comes in that's not the biggest guy in the world. Like, he's 188 pounds, not even 6'1". And he really knows how to show out and, like, use his length as a massive advantage, play heavier than his weight class, and really be impactful from the snap of the ball to the final whistle. I would say for him, like, I would like him to become a better presence on the line. I think that's where Delane and a couple other guys in this year's draft class have a leg up on McCoy, where I want him to be more physical on the line. I want him to show the chops to be able to apply some disruption in jamming at the line. I don't think he's had that, and kind of a little bit under the radar, but he had 8 penalties in 2024, and I think it's something where, you always talk about penalties being then exaggerated at the NFL level. I'd like to have seen that going down. Obviously didn't get a chance to, but kind of curious as to what that then looks like. I think it goes to his aggressive brand of football, but I'd rather reel a guy back than tell him to, hey, you gotta be out there and be in a guy's face more. So,
yeah, I like that. McCoy is a player that came in with significantly higher summer grade than Delane did.
Yeah,
he's one of those players that, like, show me that next step, and then he just didn't play, so I couldn't give him the next step. So he's still where I had him graded in summer because I just didn't have any evidence to say that he should be higher, even though a lot of it was like wanting to see a little bit confirmation there, and that's kind of why I'm still kind of lower on him. Even though I love this tape, he was CB1 coming in from the summer for me. But he just didn't take the next step.
Do you want to hit anyone else in this group of 5, Jim?
Well, I want to talk about the corners, both McCoy and Delane. Do you guys think that McCoy or Delane going at pick 5 to the Giants or pick 4 to the Titans would be a reach?
No.
I think the 10 point position, they're just as good as Sauce Gardner was when he was coming out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think these are legitimate first round talents that we're talking about. I think that, and I don't even want to say there's a gap because I actually really like Brandon Cisse, my next graded cornerback. But I don't think, like, there are some cornerback classes where it's like it is jam packed at the top, like, the class with Gonzalez, and was that with Sauce too?
So it was Sauce, Stingley, Trent McDuffie, Elam. That was that class.
Okay, that was that class. But whatever one was. So Gonzalez was with Witherspoon, right?
Yeah,
and Joey Porter
Gonzalez,
Jr. And like and that was another one that was like, it was just loaded up. I think this one, like, you got 2 clear-cut guys at the top. There is no argument around them, and then you have a lot of discussion after that.
Yeah, I'd rather take the guy high and then not have to worry about who's the cornerback. I'd rather take the guy at 4 instead of waiting on it and then worrying about, like, who the hell is cornerback 3 when I come back around at the top of the second.
Well, and if we think back to the summer to now, right, at the draft class, in the summer we had nearly everybody had McCoy as corner 1, and then the next 9 guys on the top 10 list, it was a smorgasbord of players, right? I don't know that the corner class has straightened itself out. Like, I think the tight end class, like in the summer, we didn't like it. Whereas now I actually think we like the tight end class more than we did over the summer.
Yes.
Right. But just generally speaking, I think if both corners go in the top 10, if both McCoy and Delane go in the top 10, I think this draft begins to get crazy because a team that needs a corner is going to have to start trading up to go get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
kinda
would believe
thing.
that.
But Owen, where do you want to take the first round grades next?
Well, so Newt, you said you have 19, right?
Yeah.
Let's
You want
just
me to-
run. Let's just
You
run
want me to
11 and
my next
19.
10? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, starting with 11, this is where I have CC Mainoa. I then have Makai Lemon at 12. Mansour Delane comes in for me at 13 here. Caleb Lomu at 14. David Bailey at 15. Spencer Fonnell, tackle 4 at 16.
All right.
TJ Parker, 17. Keldrick Falk, 18. And then my final first round grade is Owen's boy, Jordan Tyson.
There you go. I think so. I think our biggest discrepancy is going to be Tate at 1 with 16 spots between, and then Fano. Because you have 13 spots between. I think I'm going to be granted as a hater after this episode because you're going to hear a name that's not going to pop out to you. So I'll run mine 1 to. Do you want me to just
20.
run the rest of mine out, or do you want me to run to just to where you stop?
Go to 20.
All right, so 11, Caleb Lomu, big fan of his. He was actually even higher. I still have to go back and do my final rewatch of him, but I definitely
Damn it, you're higher on Lomu than I am?
love me some Lomu.
Son of a bitch. All right, go on.
12 is TJ Parker, edge 2 for me. 13, Monroe Freeling, tackle, what is that, 4? I'm sorry, that's
My tackle 1 is your tackle 4. Your tackle 1 is my tackle 4.
makes sense. How much we've podcast together. So that was 13. 14, Omar Cooper Jr.
That is my first non-first round grade right there. What is that, 14, 13?
14, yeah.
14. My first non-first round grade.
15th overall, David Bailey. We're there. We got one match.
Ball. Look who knows ball.
16, Makai Lemon. 17, Keldrick Falk, which was like 1 spot off.
Yep.
18, Jamar McCoy. 19, Akeem Mesidor. And then 20. You know what? To be honest, let's flip this number here because I think the way I have it set up, it doesn't actually order them the way I want them to. It just does it, and then it goes off a name after that. 20 is actually Carnell Tate. 21 is Denzel Boston. They're flipped on the weighted board, but in my actual grades,
Okay.
they're the same, but I have Tate slightly ahead.
Okay, so Owen, I'd like to pause you for a commercial interruption. Iowa Joe with the take of the day. What are your thoughts?
Gas mask bong video pop up.
David
An
Bailey.
hour.
It's gonna be it would be David Bailey.
I've been joking about someone with this.
Was there a
It's
Georgia
gonna be
player
Casey
that's that high?
Concepcion.
No, Makai Lemon's already been laying down the groundwork from his combine.
Yeah, that is a
podium
weird
session.
one. I think that could be a weird one.
Well, I do like the lemon call out. That was actually pretty good, dude. I do like the lemon call out.
I mean,
Yeah.
for all of these guys' sake, I hope no one gets gas masked. For the Packers'
It's-
sake, I hope
it's more acceptable
That-
now, right?
I hope that Peter Woods gets gas masked because that would be amazing.
You're right, Owen. It's interesting how society changes because that's considered more normal now. But I'm gonna date myself, but the same thing happened to Warren Sapp. Right? Warren Sapp had some information leaked on him.
Okay.
The Buccaneers traded back and they were still able to get it.
Interesting.
Oh shit.
But-
all right.
But Warren Sapp was leading up to the draft was I think Sapp went about 9th. I don't know exactly where he went, but that was a draft I definitely remember. There was a whole bunch of rumors about controlled substances that came out. It was more taboo then, and it pushed him down a few teams' boards. But the Buccaneers were able to trade back and still get it. So.
Is anything jump out to you there, Newt? For I have a question because I don't know if you don't pick up on it, but there's I'm trying to lead you to one. But is there a question that pops out with that rankings? I feel like we were pretty relatively close with those.
So
group of
once
players.
again, my first one was Cooper Jr. He's 22 on my board, so really that's actually not terribly far off. That's not even one of the
Right.
farther ones off. Mesidor, I have at 38.
Why do
And
you hate Why do you hate good football players,
I
Newt?
don't hate good football players.
You hate
Like-
old men. You don't like AARP cards.
My rankings don't have anything to do with injury or age or anything like that.
Then that's crazy. Then that's just a bad take.
That's just a bad take.
I'm trying to give you the outs, and you're just, nope, I don't want that parachute. I don't want that parachute.
No, I'm gonna burn it all. That's the bigger one that I'm kind of like away on. Am I missing someone in here?
Yeah,
Sonny
you are.
Styles. Where's he at, man?
I told you I was going to be labeled a hater after this.
Oh my God, massive! You hate Ohio State. That's just it. It's
We
always
haven't gone to the
Ohio
Caden
State,
McDonald
bro.
slander.
It's always Ohio State.
Where is Sonny Styles for you, Owen?
He was the next player. He's 22.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just, I know he's top 5 because the athletic traits are insane. And also, what everyone says they love about him, I get it. Absolutely flatbacks offensive lineman, can fly downhill, make plays in the run game. Like, it's amazing. I remember watching
is
him on the
fun.
train to Boston, and he was like, oh my God, this is so much fun watching. And it's not even that like linebackers take a hit because they don't. He actually gets a position multiplier. It's just that so many other positions get a bigger bump than linebackers do, that he gets jumped. He's like in the teens on my just film grades, but he just doesn't jump up as much as some other guys do, and I question his polish in pass coverage and how well he can be utilized as a blitzer immediately. So like the third down stuff, he'll survive because he's a great athlete and they can find a place to use him, but I just didn't see a clean projection one way or the other for him to fit into a defense as like a clean high-end third down player right away.
I think that's my biggest gripe about Styles is this man is a converted safety, and he's like not a dominant cover player, and it just I'm like why were you that bad? That's the reason that you converted the linebacker.
So I want to give a shout out to Josh Townsend. So when we were breaking down linebackers last year in 2025, Josh was like, ooh, this is a first round linebacker last year, and he's going to move up even higher. So I know Josh, he's a scout at Delaware now. He's not podcasting with draft professors, but that was a take that aged really well.
Yeah.
Really well. So just shout out to Josh Townsend, wherever you are. He'll be back helping us cover the NFL draft when it's live. But yeah. So Owen, do you have any questions on Newt's 11 through 19?
I mean, like I said, I think we had a lot of the same players. Like he's higher on Freeling, who wasn't in there, but like between Lomu,
Lomu,
Lemon,
CC, I mean, we have the
Falk.
same top four at tackle.
Yeah, we have the same edges. We have all these same players. Like I just have a few more in there, and we knew that because I had more grades overall. Like, just to round out the rest of them. Like I have, so we talked about Sonny Styles at 22. I have 5 more after that, which is Elijah Surratt ends up having a first round grade for me. Chris Johnson is my CB3 at San Diego State.
This is where it's falling off the rails, man. This is where, like, the minute that we got past 22, it's like, just finish off and then I'll read those guys off. So Surratt, Chris Johnson,
Chase Basantis, interior offensive line 1.
okay,
Caleb Banks,
that's not
and
bad.
Cassius Howell.
Okay, so let me read off the ludicrous one. So Caleb Banks is 26 for me.
Okay.
Cassius Howell's 34.
Okay.
Here's
Not
where
too
it
far
gets
off of that.
wild. Elijah Surratt, 52.
I can
Chase
see it. That one, that one's crazy because of the difference, but like I understand that I'm significantly higher on him.
Chase Basantis, 50. And who has now since moved up my board because I went back and I watched the, I think, Cal film, Chris Johnson at 48.
I don't know why you hate good football players.
I don't hate Chris Johnson.
You like Brandon Cisse over Chris Johnson.
Yes, like aggressively over Chris Johnson. Brandon Cisse is player number 27 on my overall big board. Brandon Cisse is an amazing football player. This dude gets after it. One of the best cover corners in this year's draft class.
I don't recall you saying Denzel Boston's name.
I
Did
didn't.
you?
He's just outside of mine.
Okay,
I think I said
he's
this when we did the
21.
wide receivers. He
Yeah.
is also 21 for me.
Yeah, I think the biggest sell I'm gonna have the There's two massive sells I'd have to make here, and it's that Surratt is in, and Vega Ione is not.
That's
Those
what
are
I
the
was.
two-
I
Well, and I was
just
about to
gonna
ask-
about Vega.
I was about to ask about Vega too, so go ahead, Newt.
So Vega's 20 on my board. That he's the one that I've got Boston Cooper Jr. But like Vega's 20. Where's he at for you?
28. So he's
Okay.
the first one out. He's the first one out.
Fun fact: he's the first one out for me too. So
Yeah.
that's actually kind of funny, but just a little bit later. Okay. So I know we wanted to do this at the end. Jim wanted us to pick 3 guys that
Yeah.
could boom themselves up.
We're lower
Well,
on, but we can see being drafted higher because of scheme specific things.
Right. So the request was 3 players that Newt is lower on, but he knows will be drafted higher than where he has them graded. And same thing for Owen. 3 players Owen is graded low, but he knows that they're going to be drafted higher than where he has them graded. So, Newt, who are your 3?
I'll go back and forth so I don't snake one of Owen's and make it fair. I'm gonna pick one who I think it's very relevant to what we were just talking about, and I think that because of his skill set, has since moved up my board because I've gone back and watched a little more of him. So I have Dylan Thieneman. I watched a couple more of him. He's 29 now for me. I could still see him being even higher because of his ability to be a true single high free safety. I think that, once again, to the point of the scheme fit, could launch him up boards if there's a system for that.
He's 47th on my board.
Since when did I become the high guy in Thieneman?
Because I don't like safeties.
That's
I
apparently
don't like safeties. I like them. He's graded higher than that, but like once you filter it through the fact that he's a safety, it gets dropped significantly. I won't bring up Sonny Styles again just because we already talked about that.
Yeah.
He's going to be top 5, and I have him. That's not even the biggest jump. The first one I want to mention is going to be Max Ihenacore, who I have graded at 55th. He's 55th on my board.
Ooh, it's rough.
He's going to be significantly higher. He's probably going to be in the first round, if not top of the second. And I get it because like he's super athletic. I just don't love how raw he is, and like I love how athletic he is. I love how much power he has in his game. He's just rawer than a gas station steak. Like he's going to be someone that's going to struggle immediately, especially with these technicians. And I think he needs to work on being better with that to be able to start day one. A lot of that is just he doesn't have the floor for me right now, and I value floor a lot higher on offense than I do on defense. So he's a bit further down.
I think I'll go with my next player. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say Kenyon Sadiq, because you talk about a true junior. You talk about the trend where you've seen in recent drafts a lot of success from these high drafted tight ends, like last year with Warren, and later half of the season with, why am I forgetting his name out of Michigan? Someone help me out here. Michigan.
Wait, which player on Michigan?
Michigan tight
Loveland?
end. Colston Loveland.
Oh,
Colston Loveland. And like you can kind of basically track back through the draft. Just like really, really good success with these guys. I think Kenyon Sadiq is the next player, like the next tight end that is kind of heir apparent there. And I think that he's going to be a top 20 pick. It's not a ludicrous take because I've got him as 24. I've got him outside my first round grades. But I think he's going to go a little bit higher because you're going to get a team that wants that and is going to end up grabbing it.
Yeah, I mean, he's 32nd on my board. I get it. I think he's just he's a bit underdeveloped when it comes to, like, again, floor on offensive players, especially for a position that already struggles to have some good conversion, even for players who think have high floors coming in. You're going to rely a lot more on him, and early on just as an athlete and less on the rest of his skill set that needs to be developed a bit more. I know I have to hit Katie McDonald before we get out of here. I also have a couple other names.
I was leaving him. I was leaving for you.
Well, and before we get to that, I actually want to get to this question here by
Nice.
Calvin. So Calvin, first of all, I think this is an excellent question. So my take is there's about 2 to 5 corners at the top of the class that will have day one impact, meaning that somewhere between 2 and 5 will be starting week 1 of the NFL season. And then the class is filled with a bunch of corner 2 and corner 3 guys. And I think there's going to be a huge run rounds 3 and 4 on corners.
Yeah.
But I think at round 2, there's going to be a run early because if you look, like the Jets need a corner, the Titans need a corner, the Raiders need a corner at the top of round 2. And then there might be a few other teams a little bit later that need to invest in corner. But I'm curious, like, Owen, what do you think about the quality of the corner class?
There's 2 studs at the top, and then it's a lot more scheme-specific CB2s the rest of the way through. And then also D'Angelo Pons, who is an enigma
Awesome.
that he's awesome, but like if he was only 2 inches taller, I'd be all over him as a top 10 player.
Yeah. I like that take. I think that I would say that like you've got McCoy and Delane, and then for me, I see Cisse and Avion Terrell kind of in that second tier, and then like D'Angelo Pons is adjacent to that, where he might be another good one to call out in terms of like a scheme specific player. I'll if you don't mind, Owen, I'll take him as my third one. Like I think D'Angelo Pons could go early if you have a team that really has that need for a nickel that is able to play great coverage, and you're getting that phenomenal run support from him. So like, I don't see him as an outside corner.
Yep.
I don't think
I
anyone
feel
can
like
see him as an outside
Pons is a
corner.
Viking. The Vikings tend to draft players that are outliers. Like I think back to like Ivan Pace, who was a linebacker from Cincinnati, but didn't fit into a lot of like measurement boxes.
Well, he was a UDFA though. That was like the UDFA steal of the century.
Right, but ultimately Pace had good tape, but he was like an outlier.
Yeah,
right.
he was.
And that was probably why he didn't get drafted. So the Vikings tend to grab players who don't always fit into what's considered normal. But I also know that Newt, you've got to get going. So why don't you tell everybody where all of your content is, and we can get you out of here.
Yeah, no, honestly, where you see the handle on the screen at NFL Draft _Weston, you can find me there on the app formerly known as Twitter. I do content for Cheesehead TV every Wednesday night here on the Draft Professor at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Then also getting the pleasure of a ton of guest appearances leading up to the draft, which everyone that has given me that, I'm very appreciative of. And then I've been also putting the information out for my big board, my prospect grades, and the pro day testing that we've had for all of the pro days that have now pretty much come to a close. So you can kind of find all of that on the app formerly known as Twitter.
Oh, you got the floor.
All right, so I'll save my full-on rants for when New gets out of here, because then he can just go back and listen to it and mutter to himself, I'm stupid. So we'll save the Caden McDonald thing for after this. But New, before you leave, I want you to pick the third player I'm going to rant about. So I'm going to throw 3 names at you with where they are on my big board, who I know are going to go high, probably round 1, all 3 of these players. Okay, I'm going to tell you their names and the number I have on my board, and you got to pick which one I'm going to rant about in addition to Caden McDonald.
All right.
Ready? So these are all third-round grades, so don't crucify me too hard. But first up, Zion Young at 84th. Then we have, where did it go? Emmanuel McNeil-Warren at 99. And Emmanuel Pregnon at 104.
You have Pregnant at 104.
He's still a third-round grade, but he's at 104.
I thought I was.
You have a lot of
Pregnant.
third-round grades.
I was going to say you got more
do.
third-round grades than there are third-round picks.
Well, it's a combination of third-round grades plus second-round grades plus
Yeah.
first-round grades, yeah. But
I'm
I
going to go
think
with
the depth of it is that section right there.
I'm going to go with McNeil Warren because I know how much you hate Group of 5 football. Obviously,
Yeah.
as a former UB scout.
Despise it. You definitely, if you don't get your fill from this, go back and listen to me and Dale basically fist fight over it on the mock draft we did last week Friday. But you can dip out of here. I'll go rant about Caden McDonald and Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
Yeah.
And whatever
Newt,
else
thank
goes
you,
on my
and we will
plates.
see you next Wednesday.
Yep. See you, boys.
See ya.
Okay, so Owen, who are some of the players that you have graded low, but you know are going to be drafted higher than where you have them graded?
All right, I might as well just hit all four of those players if I just have the floor to myself here. I know I love to talk. I love to hear my own voice, so we can just go until the rudder falls off. Kaden McDonald's at 75 overall for me. I know that's low. He's going in 26 in a lot of mock drafts to the Bills. A lot of people have him going higher than that or graded higher than that. I've heard a lot of the comps of him being like, that dancing bear archetype, talking about him in the same vein we talked about Kenneth Grant last year. Kenneth Grant last year, I saw all that. I saw the high upside athleticism for a dude who's the size of a fridge that can move, and then that also plays into both the run and the passing game. I think McDonald is more polished as a run defender than Kenneth Grant is, but Grant had the significantly higher upside when it came to athleticism and pass rush. McDonald, I think, is a non-factor pass rusher, will never be a factor pass rusher. He just doesn't have the tape on film up to this point in his career to tell me that he's going to evolve into that level of player when it comes to impacting the game on third down. I think you're drafting a 2-down player. If you need that desperately, like the Bills do, I can talk myself into taking him at 26. I just also like a ton of other run-stuffing nose tackles in this draft class. I have a whole top 10 video just nose tackles on my YouTube channel with a lot of the guys being in early day 3, like Cole Brevard and Devontae Capehart and Chris McClellan that I'd rather have than 26 with McDonald. So he's just a guy that I don't see the upside, I don't see the athleticism with it, even though I do think he's a top 75 player. I do think that he's a bit exaggerative with the first-round hype there. I do think that if you went and got him in the second round, that's way more comfortable for me. Yeah, even though it's still higher than what I have him graded. To go with Newt's player that he picked out of the 3, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, he made the joke about how I am a hater of the group of 5 play. For me, McNeil-Warren, I thought I was high on him. We did the MAC podcast in the summer. We previewed the entire MAC, and I talked about him. He was a 3rd-round grade then, and he got higher this year, but as the year went on, but he didn't shoot up the board or anything. I saw a player that was a good, not elite athlete, even at that level. He didn't really pop off the screen as being like this insane level athlete compared to MAC players. I think he was the best athlete in the field at times, but not like anything that makes you go, okay, that's going to translate even if he was at the SEC level. I think he's a split field safety who struggled a bit in man coverage, especially when it came to carrying up the field in the seam high. He does have some good ball skills. He did perform well when the competition level went up, and I do think he does a good job when it coming up to play the run. I think he needs to clean up his tackling, and he doesn't play as physical as I'd like to see him as a box safety type. So I think he's a split field free safety, a bit more of a limited factor there. And this kind of plays into the question we have in the chat here from Calvin, where why can't you turn a safety into a corner? Players like McNeil-Warren, they operate the best in coverage when they have more space to cover, more ground to cover, and they can work on leveraging as a zone player more often, whereas these guys maybe aren't as stiff or as fluid or as straight line speed or with all the length that corners need to be able to play with a lot more or a lot less space between them and the receiver. They have to have a lot more quicker reaction times to recover and need those high-end traits, whereas a guy like McNeil-Warren can be a very strong player because he can be smart and angle well and take away space with zone coverage, but he maybe won't be the best athlete or best player to be man up on a player to erase them from a play when it comes to that stuff. So that's why maybe like a player like him also isn't as high on my board, is that there's other safeties that can do that.
Like Michael Taft.
No, Michael Taft also can't really do that, but I do think he's a bit better of a run defender and is a high IQ player, leader of that Texas defense for 2 straight years. I think he's earned it, whereas McNeil-Warren, I don't like to question G4 or P5 players, or G5 players a lot when it comes to the level of competition, but that's one of the spots where I'm seeing all this hype for him, and I'm like, okay, where is it earned? Even out of Toledo with Quinyon Mitchell, you saw it on tape, you saw it at the Senior Bowl. I just haven't seen that with McNeil-Warren. He's going to the Vikings and at 18. I'm like, that's just too rich for my blood. Jim, did any of the other names that I yelled out to you pop out as needing to be justified to you?
So you're definitely an outlier on Pregnon. Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard from Oregon. So, and this isn't the first time we've had this conversation, right? I remember having a mock draft and Owen saw Pregnon going in round 1. And I don't want to say your jaw hit the floor, but you needed an explanation. So tell everybody what you think of Emmanuel Pregnon and who some of the offensive linemen that you have graded higher are.
Yeah, he's just a player that, like Jim said, I like a lot of positional versatility, and when it comes to offensive lineman, schematic versatility. Pregnon is a guard only in a power gap scheme only. Like he's going to be a player that only fits one specific style of team. Like you're not, unless you run, you need to run over 55% power gap schemes for me to feel really comfortable with him being in your run blocking scheme. I like every team's going to run both, but he's not going to fit in Shanahan's offense. He's not going to fit in these wider zone schemes where you're asking them to get flat, get lateral, and reach guys, or get to the second level and operate in a ton of space. Like it's just not going to be his game. He can throw people around and physically dominate guys when he's coming downhill. And as a pass protector, he's staunchly, he can hold his frame. He's anchors well. I think his hands are a bit sloppy in pass pro, where he can struggle with strikes and can slip off defenders a bit too much. But his anchor and base is good enough that he doesn't get totally out of position. What the problem for me with pass protection for him is that whenever he was faced against quick twitch pass rushers on the defensive interior, especially in one-on-one situations where he didn't have help coming with him and he couldn't leverage it with his help, he was getting beat side to side with lateral quickness, and the lack of punch also impacts that because you can't really get your hands on these smaller guys and jar them out of what they're trying to get at you. Like him going against Ed Oliver and the one-on-one pass rushing down is a nightmare situation, I think, for him. If you could cook up a blitz to get those as a solo one-on-one rush attempt, I think Ed Oliver wins the majority of those reps. He's just a guy that has some limitations, but in the right scheme can be a very good player. I think he could be an average to above average starter in very specific circumstances. To answer your question of what interior offensive line players I have ahead of him that may be surprising, so Basantis and Vega are above him. Connor Liu, Caleb Tiernan, Jennings Dunker, Brian Parker, Jake Slaughter, Matt Gulbin, Keelan Rutledge, Jalen Farmer, Logan Jones, J.C. Davis, Cage Casey, and Fabechi Nwewu are the players I have ranked ahead of him as interior offensive line players.
Okay, so let me get. So Newt turned into a pumpkin, Iowa Joe. So he told us at the beginning of the podcast he had a hard stop, but Owen and I just love doing this, so we're here.
What do you feel about go ahead, Jim.
No, go ahead.
How do you feel about Blake Miller at 112?
That feels really low.
See, that was where I had him, and that's higher than I had him in the summer scouting. I had like a fourth on him, maybe 4 or 5, and then I came back and watched this year, and I was like, oh, cool. He is still the same player I saw when it comes to being like a very athletic dude that could be a move blocker and will work well in wide zones, but is a bit underdeveloped in pass pro when it comes to protecting his chest and anchoring down and dropping his pad level. I think he's going to get eaten alive by power rushers, and he doesn't really offer a power element, kind of the antithesis to what we were talking about with Pregnon, where it's all athleticism, no power in his game. He's a bit more technically savvy than Pregnon, I would say, but I think he's, again, very limited schematically and position-wise. And with what he can do for a team, he needs to be in the right spot to succeed. And I was with that. And again, he's another player where I was like, I'm with that. No one else is mocking him any higher. Like I saw him like third or second round, and I was like, okay, I can see that for like in a super athletic tackle from a high level school. I can see that especially. And then I saw him going in the first round, and that was another one where I was like, okay, I need justification here. I still haven't really heard anything that goes against what I saw, and tells me that like what I'm saying is incorrect. They're just saying, but that's good enough to be a first round tackle.
So I think starting 4 seasons, right? Because he's a 4-year starter at Clemson, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that is part of the justification for him being pushed up boards is if you look at this for you. So you said Blake Miller is like in the 116 range for you?
112, yeah.
112. So what offensive tackle number is that, Owen?
Offensive tackle number...
Is that like
12.
7? 12. Okay.
12.
So like, do you have Crown over higher?
No, I don't have Crown over. I'm not the biggest Crown over guy. He's like in the 150s for me.
Who are the tackles that you have higher than Miller?
Fano, Maui Noah, Lomu Freeling. Those are kind of gimmies. Proctor, Barber, World, Ahinakor, Bowery, Trost, Shelton.
Okay. Yeah, so Barber, World, and Shelton, I think are where the discussions are with Blake Miller, because I know that you and Jerry were a lot higher on Barber than any other people that podcasted here. Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the two of you came to your own independent conclusion, and you like him, right? And
Right.
same thing with Shelton. And then, yeah, so I think other people are picking the Miller flavor over the Shelton flavor.
Which is understandable. I get it. Again, I understand if people like that skill set a lot and want him to be higher and in that stratosphere of the bar of where I have Barber or where I have World, which I think World's tape was a bit better than Day 3 stuff, but I know I'm on an island with that. But like if they wanted him there and high in round 3, later round 2, I'd be all over it. Yeah, sure, go ahead. If that's your flavor of tackle, take him. But the fact that he's going to the Lions at 16 or wherever they're picking, 14, it's like, what are we doing?
Well, okay. So put you in Brad Holmes' shoes for the Lions. So my take would be the Lions are 2 offensive linemen away from returning to the playoffs.
Okay,
Myers-
which two are you picking?
Well, I'm just saying on their team, they need a tackle and a center,
Okay.
right? So if the Lions shore up their offensive line, do you agree that they would be contending strongly for a playoff spot?
Yes.
Okay. So if you had to wave a magic wand, what 2 players in this draft would solve the Lions' offensive line problems to you?
That's a great question. I would probably say, for me, with how I have him ranked, because I would need a left tackle specifically, I would go Lomu and Galbin for center. If you added those 2 guys without having to worry about investing a first or a third or a first and a second, depending where you have them graded, I have Galbin as a second. If you just took the value I had them at and it said that's the 2 picks you have to invest, it'd be not the best investment for myself because I think the centers after that you can definitely get someone else there that isn't Galbin that would fit that. But for me, if I had to not worry about investing those picks where I have them graded, if you came out of the draft with those 2 guys coming in, those are your 2 starters right there at left tackle and center that you're missing.
Right. And then so ultimately, one of the reasons that Blake Miller would be mocked to the Lions would be if Sewell moves to the left, Miller would be able to start at right tackle, right? Because Spencer Fano would also be an awesome fit. According to your board, if Fano fell to the Lions,
yes,
that's a really good pick for them, right?
And he's a right tackle too. So if you want to make the argument of and same with Maui Noah, both are right tackles, and they're graded on my board high enough to be taken there. So there's even just looking at the guys who played right tackle in college that would have to play right tackle and kick Sewell to the left. He's 4th.
Right. Got it.
3rd, 4th behind Ihenacore. It'd be Fano, Maui Noah, and then we're going all the way down to Ihenacore before we get to Blake Miller as a right tackle potential there. Which Ihenacore would be fun too if they wanted to go that route with taking a right tackle.
Well, why don't you let everybody know about the weekly huddle, all of the content you make there, and then I will talk about Epic Mock and Draft Professors and what you and I will be doing on Overreaction Buffalo.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Weekly Huddle. You'll be finding me most of the time trolling Newt or Randall on there, so you can always help me pile on with them. Really show them who knows ball here and who doesn't. But I'm kidding. But you can also go over to YouTube.com. And check out Weekly Huddle there. I have a couple top 10 videos. We did on this podcast, which is also going up as a video over there on my channel, is a Family Feud style, guess the picks, guess the players for the NFL draft. It was really fun. I want to run another one of those post-draft with questions there, so you can check that out. As well as you can check out some other clips. I've been taking these live streams, not only just co-streaming them on my YouTube channel, but also taking clips or the best moments from them and then reposting them up as videos. To kind of get some slight engagement there. So if you're liking any of this stuff or you just want to see some of the best highlights of it, you can go check that out over there at Weekly Huddle on YouTube.
So I first want to thank everybody. Ooh, give me a minute. Sorry about that. I had some extra audio coming in from a different tab. I want to thank everybody in the chat for being here. It was a very lively chat. So Iowa Joe, Anthony, Calvin, thanks for stopping by. Kenny, thank you. And I'm probably missing a couple of people, but thank you very much for stopping by. Brandon as well. So Draft Professor is here every day. We talk about the draft every day of the year, every month of the year. So as soon as this draft ends, we're already going to be jumping into the 2027 draft class kind of thing. So we can't do it without podcasters like Owen. So there's 90 people at the Draft Professor that help us create the content. And Owen's literally been here since day one. So we have Epic Mock 26 that is starting tomorrow. So that is a 32 podcaster mock draft. So your favorite team has a podcaster drafting for your team. So like Iowa Joe, I think you're a Packers guy, right? Jake Shivnick has the Packers. That Packers podcast is who's drafting for the Packers. For Calvin, Jerry Ostrowski's Overreaction Buffalo channel has the Bills War Room. I will be on the Draft Professor feed covering the whole draft. And we have that effort multiplied times 33 across the world, because we even have some UK podcasts joining us. So just want to point that out. So Epic Mock 26 tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. Sunday morning, that podcast is going to be the UDFA podcast. The only players that Jack Brentnall is going to talk about are the players that he has graded that weren't taken in Epic Mock 26. So we have 4 days of draft content coming at you. It's going to be about 20 hours of podcast covering Epic Mock. And we'll be talking probably about 300 players over the next 4 days. So if you need a primer for the NFL draft, you're going to get it right here in Draft Professor. In addition to that, Owen and I will be starting our own Buffalo Bills podcast as part of Overreaction Buffalo. We are still working out the details as to what night it is, but it will be the Mafia BPA podcast, because we are the best podcasters available. That has a good ring to it, doesn't it?
I do. I think it balances the right amount of self-deprecating with football buzzwords.
Yes. So Mafia BPA, we're here. We're right here, baby. We're right here. But that being said, for Owen, Newt, myself, and the 90 podcasters at the Draft Professor, thank you so much for watching this podcast. We will see you for Epic Mock 26, 6:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Don't miss it. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome to the Draft Professor channel, home of Epic Mock 26, April 9th, 10th, and 11th.